Listen, I know we are all wondering who that is at the end of the chapter, and believe me, we will get to that and break down all the possible options, but first we gotta talk about the chopper greatness in this chapter, because One Piece chapter 1007 is titled Tanuki-san, and when I read that, I was like, finally, we're gonna get our chopper greatness, and Hygoro's not gonna die. And that's exactly what we see. We pick up from last chapter with the Hygoro greatness, and again, we get more hype about just how strong Hygoro was in his prime. And my thoughts on this stay the same. Hygoro is definitely Yonko Commander level. But before we get into it, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to turn on the notifications. We're putting out content almost every day, so make sure you are subscribed to not miss an upload. Also, if you're having a good time, drop a like for the YouTube algorithm. But this chapter, we find out not only did he take down the elite officers of the Mimawari Gumi, but he also took out the Oniwabanshu. So this man in one go just knocked out all the elites of Orochi's men. The question of Jack versus Hygoro, I'm starting to lean towards Hygoro, especially because this chapter, not only are the samurai praising him, you also see like Apu and X-Drake really shocked at just how strong Hygoro is. X-Drake even has a great line of saying like this is why the rest of the world never wanted to mess with Wano, which I gotta say is finally good to see some samurai getting some shine. I feel like that was definitely one element that was really hyped up about Wano and how strong the swordsmen were, but we really never got that until recently with some of the scabbard stuff. And finally now seeing Hygoro do this all by himself is very rewarding. But yeah, although Hygoro did his thing, his time is starting to run out. The Ice Demon virus is really starting to take effect. So dramatically, we have one of the Yakuza bosses swinging his sword at 1 centimeter per second. Meanwhile, we're getting all the reaction from the other people. Boss Omasa is also about to be executed. Another Yakuza boss is saying how Hygoro was like a father figure to her. And I did like this little bit developing the relationship of the Yakuza bosses with Hygoro, but I do wish we saw more of them in action and maybe some of them fighting the other Mimawari Gumi members. But yeah, Hygoro's about to turn into an ice demon. He's starting to growl. They're trying to kill him, but they can't quite do it because somebody else has to get their shine. Meanwhile, you have Queen, who's actually kind of getting into a fight with some of his own crew members. I gotta say this about Queen, because more or less in the story so far, he's been kind of a meme. His design is very funny. He's got a lot of gags tied to him as well. But at the end of the day, he's still a Yonko commander, and so far, he's really not that impressive. At what point are we gonna really start slandering Queen? A lot of people have been bagging on King for not doing too much, but what exactly has Queen done? The region that he has control over with Udon, that was an absolute mess. And now in this chapter, I think he makes one of the biggest mistakes in this war, and it's really gonna come back to haunt him. Because so far in this raid, he's been kind of playing around and treating this like a game. When he had the antidote, he threw to Apu saying it's a game, go catch Apu. He even shot some of his own Beast Pirates members, and in this chapter, they call him out. They're like, hey, Master Queen, why did you shoot us as well? We're part of your crew. And of course, Queen was having none of that, so he claps back and actually beats them up. But he doesn't only do that. Instead, he tells all the pleasures and waiters that they're completely expendable. And he also reveals the fact that there's not gonna be any more Smile Devil Fruits. And essentially, he's literally just telling his own crew, go screw off. And like, maybe that doesn't seem like that big of a deal because it's just basic crew members, but at the end of the day, the pleasures and the waiters make up the majority of the Beast Pirates. Sure, the gifters are much stronger, but they only make up about 1,000 members. That means 19,000 people of Kaido's crew are the pleasures and waiters. And Queen might be saying they're expendable, but are they really? How can you replace them that quickly? And as of right now, they're pretty much in a war where their numbers advantage is already kind of losing. So to now go and tell the majority of your men that they are not needed, that's a very bad move. And we're already seeing the effects of that later in this chapter. But yeah, I think Queen's making a big mistake in this chapter. He's also talking a lot of trash about Chopper. He's super proud of his Ice Demon virus, which is really the only thing he's done in this war. And instead, he's bagging on Chopper, saying like, oh look, Chopper, that Tanuki over there, he's still a pirate at the end of the day. He's not gonna help you guys. And it looks like he's about to be proven right, as all the Ice Demons are now turning back. And finally, that sword is about to strike Hygoro, and in comes Chopper like he shanks at Marineford, and he stops the blade. He pulls up with this adorable smile on his face and he saves Hygoro. But then came the next question of how exactly was he gonna save all these people? I was really imagining like, how did he mass produce so many antidotes and how was he gonna inject so many people? Well, it turns out he figures something out. He comes out with a cannon and launches his own antivirus back at everybody. This big smoke bomb gets shot into the area by the cannon. You see a Chopper face puff up in smoke, and this is actually a direct callback to Dr. Hiruduck and what he created with the Sakura tree. Absolutely love that callback because that is one of my favorite flashbacks of all time. But yeah, Chopper figured out a solution. He developed his own virus to fight Queen's virus, and in one go, no, he cures everybody. And now that everybody is healed, people are chanting Tanuki-san. And of course, Queen is pissed. He's asking Chopper how he learned so much medical knowledge. And Chopper has a really interesting line that he says to Queen where he says viruses cannot be used as weapons because eventually you'll lose control. Now this is actually very fitting for Chopper because of his experience with the Rumple Ball. Pre-time skip, he kind of had a similar type of thing with Monster Point where he could use it and gain more strength, but he was completely out of control. And I do wonder if it's actually any foreshadowing for what's to come in the future. Maybe Queen, after seeing the Rumple Ball's effect on Chopper, tries to get some himself and overconsumes them. Could definitely be an option, and would be funny to see Chopper take down a Yonko commander. But yeah, Chopper gets his big doctor moment, he gets the big W, and everybody's shouting his name. Queen gets pissed, tries to shoot him, and then some of the Beast Pirates actually step in to save Chopper. And here we see the effects of Queen turning on his own crewmates already coming into play. So now everybody's on Chopper's side, everybody's chanting Tanuki-san. Marco swoops in, puts Queen in a chokehold and says, hey Tanuki, take your best shot at him. And of course Chopper's not gonna waste that chance. He gets up, goes into Monster Point and just bitch slaps Queen. And you gotta give some major props to Chopper here because he draws some serious blood out of Queen. I consider myself one of the bigger Chopper fans within the community, and I gotta say, I did not see this coming. And then to top it all off, there's the comedy element coming in and him telling everybody that he's not a Tanuki. And you get this reaction out of everybody kind of like saying they're sorry. Got Marco, X-Drake, and Hygoro. And overall, I just really thought this Chopper moment was really good. Not only did he have the doctor moment saving everybody, the callback to Hiroduk as well, but also this great feat of strength smacking a Yonko commander tied that all together with a comedy moment. It was just perfect. But going forward for Chopper, I'm kind of excited because I really didn't think he would fight anybody. When I made my first Wano matchups prediction, I did have Sanji and Chopper fighting Queen. Obviously, Chopper versus Queen in a 1v1 is not gonna go well for Chopper, but if he does get some help, maybe he even tag teams with Marco for a while, I could definitely see him getting some shine in terms of action. But moving on from the Chopper greatness, we jump to Momonosuke and Yamato. And although last chapter Momonosuke was having kind of a good time copping a feel, this chapter he's kind of come back into reality and he really feels bad. Once again, he's dealing with that burden of becoming the shogun and living in the shadow of his dad. And you can really just tell how frustrated he is that he cannot live up to people's expectations. He's not strong, he gets scared easily, he can cry easily, he's just not Oden. And then Shinobu tries to comfort him by calling him a splendid man, and that just doesn't work. It's like that pity love that comes from a good place but doesn't help. She's kind of saying it's cute, it's the perfect size. And of course Momonosuke is not happy about that, so frustratingly he turns into his dragon form. And in his dragon form he starts generating those clouds the same way Kaido does. Now when I first saw this I was like, okay, Yamato might recognize this and tell Momo more about this fruit. But instead it was more of a funny moment and Yamato thought he was an eel. However, Yamato now knows that Momonosuke has that artificial devil fruit. And this is for sure gonna lead to something because right after this scene we jump to the CP0. And the CP0 just nonchalantly confirmed one of the biggest theories within the community. And that is that Kaido was experimented on by Dr. Vegapunk and that Momonosuke's artificial devil fruit is actually modeled after Kaido. Turns out when Kaido was captured by the Navy, Vegapunk used the lineage factor to try to replicate his fruit, which I find it kind of interesting that they used the lineage factor to do this, because that means they're drawing out the devil fruit within Kaido's DNA somehow. But either way, Vegapunk's devil fruit has a direct connection to Kaido's fruit. That is finally confirmed, and the CP0 reiterate that the devil fruit was originally a failure, but even the main guy from the CP0 is kind of questioning it. Now obviously because we've seen Momonosuke use this devil fruit, it's not a complete failure, so I'm guessing this is definitely setting up that Vegapunk probably lied to the world government in some way, and that there's definitely more powers to Momo's fruit that he doesn't know of. Now obviously the powers of this devil fruit is not going to be on the same scale as Kaido's fruit, but as long as it's not like a dollar store version, maybe it's like a Costco Kirkland brand, it could still provide a good amount of power up for Momonosuke. Like a Costco brand Burrow Blast would be a big thing for Momonosuke. So I'm definitely interested in how this will power up Momonosuke and the interaction him and Kaido could have in the future when Kaido finally sees that he also has that devil fruit power. But ultimately I do think the first thing that this is gonna lead to is that Momonosuke is gonna help save some people from the flower capital. As we saw last chapter, Onigashima is ready pretty much over Wano, Mount Fuji is right in the background, and things are going really well so far, but the tide's definitely gonna turn soon. I think we will go back to the rooftop and see everybody defeated, and eventually Onigashima is gonna drop on the flower capital. Now as I've said before, I don't think Oda is just gonna massacre a bunch of people in the flower capital. He has not done that yet in the present story. In the flashbacks, sure, Ohara, all that kind of stuff, flashback Oden is built different, but in the present story he's never killed off a whole bunch of people like that. And I don't think he's gonna start now, so I think with Onigashima dropping, Momonosuke might be able to slow it down somehow, especially now that Yamato knows about these powers and she could kinda maybe help him out. But after this we finally get to the big scene at the end of the chapter with the return of Kozuki Oden. Now let's set the scene first. We start off by seeing the scabbards and all their wounds were treated. Kawamatsu has this specific line saying he thought he saw a familiar face, but it must have been a dream because it can't be that person. And then right after that they're getting up and ready to go because there's still a war at hand. And then right after that Oden shows right back up, the scabbards are shocked, the chapter ends, and there's a break next week. So the first question is that Kozuki Oden? And my answer is, for the love of God, Oda, please no. I won't say it's absolutely impossible because this is One Piece, but I really don't think so. If Oden actually comes back, this is gonna be worse than Pell in my opinion. And this isn't about me not liking Oden. I loved Oden's character and I loved his story. That's why he needs to stay dead, because all the impact that he made, if he's all of a sudden alive again and comes back out of nowhere, it would just wipe that away. It's the reason why a lot of people were upset that Pound came back alive and Pell came back alive and Pagaya came back alive. That's actually our only hope right now, is that Oden's name is not Poden. But yeah, overall I really don't think it's Oden. It's most likely somebody else pretending to be him. Some people are pointing to this line of Toki saying look ahead in 20 years Oden, but I think if anything that kind of hints at her coming back to the story, because at the end of the day Oden got shot in the head by Kaido and he was boiled in oil. That absolutely happened. So if he's somehow here now, that means Toki escaped, found his body, sent him into the future, and now he's here. That's just way too many hoops to jump through for him to come back. So in the end I really don't think it's him, and I really hope it's not him. So if it's not Oden, then who is it? Well, I only really have 3 options, and those 3 options are Kanjuro, Onimaru, and Catarina Devon. Now let's start with Catarina Devon because she's probably the least likely option. I personally just really like this idea because it could lead to some really interesting plot lines. Of course, Catarina Devon has a mythical zone that allows her to transform into other people. Now we don't exactly know how this power works. She might not have to touch somebody the way Bon Clay does. So maybe if she only has to see the person, she looked at Oden's bounty poster and that's why she kind of has the top half correct, but the robe, the bottom half doesn't look the same. It's possible she just needs a description and Blackbeard described it to her because he did see Oden when he was a kid. It's also possible she met Oden before when she was a pirate as well. Catarina Devon does have the epithet of the Crescent Moon Killer, and the Kozuki clan is tied to the Crescent Moon, but the bigger play at hand is of course Blackbeard coming to Wano and also Gecko Moria coming to Wano, kind of tying that story together from Thriller Bark. We do know Blackbeard stays in the now with the information, and Catarina Devon and Shiryu are probably the 2 best options for spies. So maybe only the 2 of them along with like Moria were sent to Wano as spies. Shiryu is another person a lot of people have speculated that has ties to Wano. Not only do him and King have like the same clothes, but his epithet of Shiryu of the Rain, there's theories going around that he might even be a Korozumi. So overall, if that is Catarina Devon, I could definitely see ways it could be really interesting. But there's still a lot of mysteries, like what exactly would her goal be? Why does she know Oden's mannerisms, and why does she know so much about Oden? And when it comes down to it, the other options just make more sense. And that gets us to the next option, which is Onimaru. Now Onimaru obviously is a fox that can shapeshift, and so far we only see him change into Gyukimaru. But the theory here is that Onimaru actually came with Hiyori, because the mysterious figure that we saw in 1004, that was definitely not Oden. So in this scenario, you would have Onimaru and Hiyori make their way onto Onigashima, and Hiyori was that mysterious figure. She treats their wounds and then she leaves because she doesn't want to see them and break the promise. And then Onimaru in this case changes into Oden as a morale boost. Now this may feel like it makes sense, but overall I really don't think it's that likely. First off, Onimaru and Hiyori haven't even met yet. They don't really even know each other, and we don't even know if they're in the same place. Second of all, there's the question of how exactly did they get into Onigashima in the first place? And then the biggest problem here is why exactly would Onimaru transform into Oden? Is this shocking moment of Oden coming back really just gonna be a simple morale boost? I really don't think so. Plus, Onimaru hasn't showcased the power to transform into anybody he wants. In fact, when he changes into Gyukimaru, he still has like those red marks that he has on his forehead when he's in fox form, and we see none of that in this version of Oden. So honestly, I really don't think this is the case. I don't think like this shocking moment of Oden supposedly being back is just gonna turn out to be Onimaru trying to give the scabbards a morale boost. And that gets me to the most likely option, which is Kanjuro. I've definitely learned my lesson from the last time around. Sometimes the answer is just the most simple one. Kanjuro is one of the first options that popped into my head, and overall I don't think he's dead. Kanjuro and Orochi's plan in general I'll probably have to make a separate video on in the future, but his death, the fact that it was off screen and we didn't get to see it, I really don't think he's dead, and his overall plan in general of going up against the Scabbards with simply just a few gifters, that was not a very good plan. So I definitely think he's still alive, and looking at this situation with Oden being back, the one person it really makes sense for is Kanjuro. Kanjuro as a villain has been terrific. He's incredibly sadistic and evil. When he went to fight the Scabbards, he literally drew Headless Samurai to kind of taunt them. So I think the Oden here is a painting by Kanjuro that he's using to distract the Scabbards, and as a result he's gonna try to sneak up and kill some of them, maybe even use that painting to try to injure the Scabbards. That's definitely the most sadistic way to do it, is to have Oden as a painting attack the Scabbards. Now you might be wondering who exactly was that mysterious figure. Well, it could be Hiyori or Toki still. At this point I'm probably leaning more towards Toki, because I think a good way to do it is her recognizing that that painting is definitely not Oden, or her also getting tricked by Kanjuro because she doesn't know that Kanjuro is the traitor. But yeah, overall I do think Oden showing up here is a bait and switch. That mysterious figure, whether it was Hiyori or Toki, I think they helped out the Scabbards and then they left, and then Kanjuro came in knowing the location of the Scabbards because it was broadcasted throughout Onigashima, and now he's trying to kill them through this very sadistic way of drawing Oden. I think out of all the possible options, this one definitely makes the most sense. Like I said, the other options are not impossible, but if I had to pick one, it's definitely this one. And yeah, overall this chapter for me was a damn good chapter, and honestly it would have been an absolute banger. I love the chopper stuff, I love the info we got from Momonosuke's fruit, but this chapter ended off on such a weird note that could be so many different things, and there is still the possibility that Oden is alive, and if that happens, this chapter drops all the way down to kinda stinky at the very least. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the chapter. Who do you guys think that Oden really is? You have any predictions for the next chapter? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. As always, to keep up with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. Thank you to all my King Pirates Elite members on YouTube and Patreon for supporting the channel. Be sure to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I'm DZach, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.